make sure that you are attending resume workshops.
Okay.
To just modify what your resume, because there's a Canadian way to write resumes.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have to make sure that you are beefing up your LinkedIn profile. I think a lot of people underrate this, but the last job that I just got, I was headhunted from LinkedIn.
That's good.
And use that feature that is called open to work.
Absolutely.
Just make sure you have that there. Try to use LinkedIn. Look at other people that are in your situation, other people's profile. Try to pick one or two things, that you can tailor to represent who you are on LinkedIn.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I have a very special guest, and then we are going to be talking about post-graduation. Once you've graduated from university in Canada, I mean this can apply to somebody in the US and the UK. So once you've graduated, how do you go about job search, CV, just breaking into the general work culture. So she has an experience in it, and then she'll be sharing her experiences. So if you're interested to learn more about the Canadian job market, the CV and connections and everything, so make sure you watch this video till the very end. So let's get to meet our guest for the day. So what's your name, and then where are you currently working?
My name is Mariana Galu. I currently work with the Alberta government. It's a parastatal with the government of Alberta. I work in the HR space, and I've been there for at least a year now.
Okay, I have one question. Will you hire me?
Send me your resume once you graduate.
Okay. So if you've graduated, so I think you should be watching this video, even though you just started your grad school, even though you've not even come to Canada, or this video is going to be very helpful because you can think about how you could prepare yourself all through grad school, right? So that by the time you're done, job would be kind of a bit easy. So once you graduate, so what is the first thing do you actually have to do, or do you start preparing before you graduate? So what are some of the first things that you need to do?
Yeah, I always advise people that your preparation into the workforce starts before you graduate.
Okay.
And sometimes you have to be very intentional about it. And what I mean about being intentional is, in Canada, fortunately, there are several organizations that have co-op programs.
Oh, okay.
They have internship programs. They have jobs for students.
Oh, okay.
All through the summer, and sometimes even into the winter.
Okay.
So I would advise people to look out for those places. And I will give you an example because this was my experience.
Absolutely.
You can start with the big 5 banks.
Oh, okay.
They have a craving for student population, especially starting at the front desk. And for me, that's an easy go-to area, right? You can also look at government offices, because by legislation, I think government is bound to continuously provide work. So government of Alberta is a good place. Alberta Investment Management Corporation, ATB, which is another bank that is owned by the province of Edmonton, by the province of Alberta as well. And so those are the ways to be intentional about it. Now, not everyone might be fortunate to get a student job that can lead you into the corporate world pathway, right? And so your work then starts maybe in your last semester. I usually tell people, start putting out your resume out there, and be very specific about your graduation date.
Okay.
Because there are instances that even when we interview people, those jobs can be held for you until your graduation.
So how long can you hold a job for somebody?
It depends on the organization. In my experience, I've seen cases where jobs are held for people for like 2 months, or they give you an offer that will be effective the date of your graduation.
Oh, that's good.
Right? Because those companies know that you don't have to break the immigration law anyway. There's nothing like that anymore. But that's my advice for you. And you just have to make sure that you are attending resume workshops. To just modify what your resume, because there's a Canadian way to write resumes.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have to make sure that you are beefing up your LinkedIn profile. I think a lot of people underrate this, but the last job that I just got, I was headhunted from LinkedIn.
That's good.
And use that feature that is called open to work.
Absolutely.
Just make sure you have that there. try to use LinkedIn. Look at other people that are in your situation, other people's profile. Try to pick 1 or 2 things, that you can tailor to represent who you are on LinkedIn as well. I would encourage you to please attend career networking programs on campuses, off campuses. You can go to Eventbrite.
Yes.
Oh, there's a ton of things happening on Eventbrite as well. And you can key into some of those things for sure.
If somebody apply for a job now, do you check the person's profile somewhere or just their CV?
It really depends on the policy of the organization, right? Some organizations, their scrutiny is very thorough.
Oh, they look at everything.
They look at everything.
Okay.
Some organizations even scrutinize up until the referees that you provide. So they still go on LinkedIn to make sure that your referees are people that actually exist.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And not like people that you just provided to the organization, right?
Maybe your siblings or something.
Exactly, so those there's social media search that I know that happens. So again, I always tell people, make sure, if I just Google yourself and see what comes up, it's very important. Type your name on Google and see what comes. So there's always a social media search, which can, depending on what we find during that back check, it really can impact whether you're moving forward with that job opportunity or not.
Oh, that is very impressive. So there is the internship or co-op.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people that they started doing co-op, and then when they graduated, then
they got retained.
They got retained, right? So think about that. So let's quickly talk about CV.
Yes.
So your resume, as the case may be. So what are some of the things as a fresh graduate that you actually need to have on your resume?
So as a fresh grad, I would encourage anybody, especially if you don't have any work experience, you're just starting out. It's really important that, after the whole format of how Canadian resume looks like, your education is what is coming first, right? Followed by volunteer. So your volunteer experience really is what puts you out there to say, even though you don't have industry experience that you're trying to break into.
You've worked with people,
You've worked with people. You're teachable, you're coachable. It means that you can adapt within that organization. There's always something I see, Peter, and I don't know if I'm going to have the opportunity to expand on this, so I'll just say it now. And this is something that I coined myself. I usually say that there are 4 P's that impact you in the corporate space.
Does the P include Peter?
No, it does not. But you can coin your own 5 P's and include Peter. First, I think it's potential. Potential. You always hear that a lot if you work in Canada.
Absolutely.
Does this person have the potential to get the work done?
Absolutely,
right? There's the second one that I call your persona, your personality. How likable are you as a person? How easy do people find that they can work with you? The third, I always like to say, is your professional experience, right? Which is the expert knowledge that you bring to the job. And then lastly, because I'm a Christian and because I believe in the power of a supernatural being of God, I like to say that there's also that last P called prayer.
Prayer factor.
So those 4 P's really are things that you need to keep at the back of your mind, because how you progress with it, it's not just about breaking in or getting your foot in the door. It's how do you keep that job and how do you grow on that job. And so I think these 4 things are what every manager really will look at, especially the first 3, really. So your persona, your potential, and the professional experience that you bring to bear. The last one is your own personal preference, how well you choose to do things depending on your faith, right?
Yeah, that's really good. I know your resume can get you the job, but it won't keep you in the job, right? So they're not going to be every day looking at bringing out your resume every week and see how you're performing, right? It's actually not going to be how you're using your potentials and actually now performing in the job, right? So that is very valuable. So once you've gotten let's say your CV or your resume has been selected, so either 1 or 2 tips in terms of interview preparation. 1 or 2 tips, what would you say?
Be prepared.
Okay.
Please, practice makes perfect. be prepared. If you have friends that can do a mock interview with you, if you can sit in front of your camera and record yourself, like ask yourself questions and record yourself, hear the tone of how you're answering questions. And there's so many practice questions you can find on YouTube, a whole lot. Try to prepare for questions that are behavioral in nature. How do you manage conflict? How do you work with team members? How do you take tough decisions at work? How do you influence other people to buy into your ideas even when you know you are right and your manager is wrong? Those kind of questions will be asked at the interview, so you need to prepare for them. It's not in any textbook, right? And I think for me that's pretty much it. Just be prepared, do your mock interviews, and show up and be yourself.
Be yourself. So don't fight with them, please. Don't fight with them, just try to be yourself. You know, like she said, preparation. You know, there are lots of resources on YouTube.
Well, please, when you are asked a question, answer it in this manner. I know you see so many things out there. There's something called situation, action, and outcome. You want to share what the problem was. You want to share what action did you take to resolve that problem. And then the outcome is, how did it impact your work or the people around you or that customer that you were trying to solve? So situation, action, and outcome, those three elements must be involved in your answer or your response. Please, if you are ever asked a question at interview and you don't know the answer, be humble enough to say, please, can we come back to this question at the end of the interview? I just need more time to process my thought. That's all you have to say. Do not try to provide an answer to a question that even you yourself know is wrong.
Absolutely. And the thing is that once you start answering a question wrongly, and they get to figure it out and they start pushing to the wall about that, and then after some time you start contradicting what you said, right? So just be honest, right? And sometimes even in your workplace, let's say the client is trying to find out something, like you must not have all of the answers. There are times like, can I do more research and I'll get back to you. You know,
exactly.
That is it is better to do it that way than doing it wrongly. Right? So that's actually,
because someone may actually be watching this and say, what if we get to the end of the interview and I still don't know the answer? Then you can say what Peter just said. Just say, can I do more research and get back to you?
To be honest, you know, I think the HR people, they are considerate people, and sometimes they know. Once you know what you're doing and you're unable to answer a particular one, they know, right? So it can happen. So let's quickly just talk about these few things. Then let's say you've gotten a job, okay? And now you're now a brand new person in this new office, you know. So what are some of the first few things you can do to kind of integrate into the work culture?
There's a book that I'll recommend for anybody that is watching this. It's called The First 90 Days. I can't remember the name of the author, but it's available in any library in Canada. You can go borrow it. It actually tells you the things that you need to do in the first 90 which is like 3 months.
That's good.
So that you can literally be ingrained within the culture of that organization or within your team. Now, in my own experience, what I've always done is I spend the first 2 weeks really getting to know the team. And when I say that, is me reaching out. I look at the org structure of my team, and I said, how many people are within this department? And I need to get myself in front of every single one of them. Every single one of them, starting with the top people. So you want to do that for your team before you begin to then network across the organization. Networking across the organization can be a plan you have for your next 6 months. But within that first month that you're joining, you want to make sure that you've met all your team members. It doesn't have to be a long call. 15-30 minutes chat, getting to know you is what I call it. I talk about my personal experience. I ask them questions about how do they think our roles can intersect, what keeps them up at night, and how do they think my role can support them. And before you know it, conversations you don't even need to have anything. Just have those 3 speaking points. And Canadians are very chatty. They love small talk.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I would encourage people to do. And then slowly try to then understand what your job really requires and start looking out for what exactly can I how do I understand what team member A is doing and how can I help them do that job better? You always need to ask for help before you render that help. That's what I would advise anybody watching this. Don't just assume that your team member needs help, because they've been doing that for 10-15 years prior to you joining, right? But whenever they allow you to extend that help, feel free to chime in there and help out, because all of that is teamwork and collaboration. Please do not work in silos. If you don't know, please shout out and ask questions. The third thing I would like to advise people is, please do not be timid. If you join an organization, I don't know, at whatever level, and of course if you're going at a senior level, you should know this by now, but if you're just coming in, it's your first work experience in Canada, please always make sure you prepare for any meeting that you're going into. Try to understand, is there an agenda for that meeting? If you don't have anything to contribute in the meeting, please always have a question. Always have a question if you don't have anything to suggest at the meeting. Bringing your voice to the table, as little as it looks, as trivial as it looks, honestly, is a huge determinant of how visible or how lost or unseen you will be in an organization. So always try to make sure that your voice matters at every meeting. But again, you want to do that cautiously. If you have nothing tangible to say,
I have a question.
Just try to re-echo what everyone has said and say, wow, I'm new in this organization. It's my first 3 weeks. I really did love the conversations that we have, and I might be reaching out to one or two of you on this call to get to know more. That's all you need to say, and that's okay. So there's something called the sandwich feedback in Canada, where you, in order for you to give constructive criticism, you have to start off by praising the great work that the person.
Your presentation was fantastic.
I love the fact that you put a lot of work into this to show us XYZ. However, is there a possibility that we could explore this as the next step? And this is just a random thought I have in my head. That's a good segue to bring in that additional thought that you have, right?
Even during my research presentations and all that. So if you do something, even though the professor said wrong, they want to suggest something, they're not going to come, that thing was wrong. They say, oh, that was a brilliant presentation. Thank you so much. But I was wondering, will it be possible, very diplomatic, that's the word, try to be diplomatic in the way you approach. Never ask questions to bring somebody down. Never ask questions to bring somebody down. So, okay, the last question. If I'm if a current job, and probably I want to move to another higher position, maybe in another company or in the same company, what are some of the things that you think I can do?
So if you want to move within the same company, I would say a lot of your promotion or growth really comes through networking. To be honest, a lot of it comes through networking. How are you able to engage? Because you see, this volunteer thing that we talk about, it does not end on campus. Even when you get into the corporate world, there will be things around DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, where different organizations have Black interest group, indigenous people, whatever that is. That's an opportunity for you to get involved. And those are ways that you can create visibility for yourself, that when your name comes up in the room, it's like, oh, we know him, or we know her, we've seen her in somewhere. So you want to is it a Christmas party that your organization is planning for? Get involved in that committee that will be organizing the Christmas party, right? Try to do other things that are not really the core of your responsibility. However, you do also want to make sure that you're not found wanting when it comes to, are you delivering results, right? So that's how to move internally. I would say networking is one of your best ways to do, and just staying visible. When it comes to you moving outside of your organization, of course, a lot of you might know this. One of the best ways to increase your annual income is to move out of the organization where you are. Because then you have a lot more bargaining power, right? And so you want to be intentional about your move. Again, LinkedIn is one of your ways to move. There will always be recruiters reaching out to you. Have conversations, even if you're not ready to move, but you just want to get to know what that organization is all about. I do go on LinkedIn I usually tell people it's always a good thing to go on LinkedIn also and like find people that are in the organizations that you feel like you're interested in and connect with them. I think LinkedIn is a very professional space that people always respond to you, even if it's 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
They always respond to you for a virtual coffee chat, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming to share your experiences.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So if you haven't liked this video, please do it to like. If you like this video, it's going to help the YouTube algorithm recommend this video to a lot of people, and then more people will get to see this video and then also learn from it. So thank you so much, and then I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.